Welcome to On the Chain.
So let's talk about some of the advantages of what the XRPL offers. I know we just saw a question pop up. Is it on OpenSea? You know, obviously OpenSea, you know, one of the probably biggest, well-known sort of exchanges, but on the Ethereum blockchain. But what are some of the advantages to using the XRPL? Like, what are some of the key, you know, points and advantages, especially things that separate it from like an OpenSea, which is on the Ethereum blockchain?
So the enforced layer one royalties, that's number one. So with Magic Eden on Solana, and then, of course, OpenSea on ETH, they were able to allow people buying on the secondary to opt out of creator royalties, which at the end of the day shouldn't be up to the marketplace to do so. Now, if a marketplace wants to wipe out their royalties, bringing it from OpenSea's 2.5% down to zero, that's perfectly fine. But allowing somebody that just to kind of opt out, it just doesn't leave a bad taste in the creator's mouth. And it's basically just allowing people to almost wash trade almost, because they're 0% fees. Like with the Magic Eden thing that happened, they basically nobody was paying fees whatsoever, and then you would see these dead collections from like 6 months ago just at the top of the list on the trending page now. So that's probably the biggest thing for a creator. And then also on top of that, why would somebody want to come over to the XRPL to actually create a collection on, or start their brand, just in comparison to ETH or Solana, when they actually have majority of the volume? I would say it's a new ecosystem, so it allows you to build a super strong community without having to spend too much money to get a project going. So now what I mean by that, on Ethereum, if you want to try to gain a following, you have to pay boatloads of money for marketing and stuff like that. On the XRPL, because it's such a niche market right now and so small, it's easy. If you're bringing new ideas to the scene, people will gravitate towards that. And again, since it's small, word will travel quick, and you can potentially get a lot of people noticing you without having to spend too much money, or realistically any money at all.
Yeah,
Yeah.
totally agree with that. Go ahead, Jeff. What do you have? A
Yeah,
question?
no, I was going to say, I mean, as we kind of look at the different ideas out there, different platforms, and even, Chip and I, obviously, we've spent, past number of years talking about the XRPL and the benefit of the XRPL, and, and getting and segueing and talking about NFTs in the space and everything. And then we started looking at the project, and we said, okay, what's going to be the most expedient way to get the project out there? Well, you can go to these big platforms like OpenSea, and then you can also just get buried in the sea of the OpenSea, where there's just tons and tons of projects out there. You can't
Sea of OpenSea.
really, right, the sea of OpenSea. You can't differentiate. But then the problem is going, and trying to do it through ETH, and the movement of anything Ethereum is brutal. And so here we are talking about XRP, talking about the XRPL. So for us, we knew that when we launched the NFT, we wanted to launch it on an XRPL based platform. And we were kind of early on before we really, thinking through this, before that was really readily available.
I want to put this one up here because this is a tweet that I see you guys put out, and it's really an important tweet. So you put out different versions of this, but I refer back to this quite often, because if you're looking at the XRP Ledger, it's really ideal. First of all, that 3-second speed. And when you go mint something, go try to mint something over on OpenSea and see what that mint fee is, right? It's going to cost you a minimum. Go ahead, Chris.
Yeah, the gas on ETH, it's very expensive during high traffic times. So I can tell you, because I mean, just overall, I like NFTs. It doesn't matter the chain that it's on. If I like art or I like what that project's doing, I'll buy it no matter where or what chain it's on. But I can tell you, like, with those high traffic mints, those super hyped up mints, you could potentially be paying like $120 just for a transaction. And to go even further, if it's one of those hyped mints, there's a high possibility somebody will front run you. You won't get the NFT, but then you will also lose that $120. And the fact that, let's say a transaction failed on the XRPL, at least you're losing 3 cents at that. So there's a lot of pros and cons to it, honestly. But just in terms of transaction fees, it's nice.
You think about all the different types of utility. Let's talk a little bit about utility and some of the things that you've seen. And then we'll put Daniel's question up there too. I want to get to Daniel's question.
Good and bad.
Yeah, good and bad.
On
So
the
what are
utility
things you've
side,
seen?
yeah. What have you seen? Things that are crushing it and things that are like, nah.
You know, I would say like, to be completely honest on how new the XRPL is, I would say the main utility that's crushing it right now is just community.
Yeah.
As cliche as it sounds, it's, you know, community is actually everything. Because there's really not that many projects out there just due to the fact of how limited you are on the XRPL when it comes to actually providing, you know, technical utility, I guess. You can do the soft staking, but I know StakeX does that. But I would say, you know, on the tech side, you have StakeX, that platform where they do, you know, the soft staking where, you know, you put up your coins, you get airdrops for, what's it called, for other coins, or you can put up NFTs and earn, you know, the IOU tokens for that. Community number one, that's probably the biggest utility. Now, bad utility, I guess just like leaving your project or something like that, that's a bad utility. But it's too early to tell what's a good and bad utility because, you know, we haven't even been around for a year, and majority of the projects that have launched within the first couple of weeks of XLS 20, they're still around and still vibrant, pretty vibrant. So yeah, that's a tough question on the bad side. But the good side, I would say, you know, number one utility is definitely the community aspect of it right now. But hey, you know, once, you know, sidechains and hooks come, that could potentially change.
Yeah.
You know, more developers start coming over to the XRPL, because that's one thing that we're kind of lacking right now. Just in terms of developers that are looking to build open source tools and, you know, more utility, at least for the NFT side of the ledger. There's really not that much building going on, like just on that side. There is, but not as just in comparison to like other chains.
Yeah, well, that's where Chip and I went to the NFT Miami, and then we're walking around telling people, we're like, oh yeah, we're building a project too. And they said, well, what are you building? And we said, we're building on the XRPL.
Like, what?
It was just
like, what is that?
Like crickets. That was the exact response. What is
yeah,
the
when we went to
XRPL?
consensus, when we went to consensus, that was like the biggest thing, you know. Number one, our booth had virtually no text on it, and it was just like that vibrant blue color with a little cup. So people were just walking past it, just like, you know, tunnel vision looking at it. And they're like, what do you guys do? I see XRP. We're like, oh, we're an NFT marketplace on the ledger. They're like, you guys have NFTs. Number one, had no clue. Number two, why? And then of course, you know, the lawsuit talk came into the play, and you know, we traveled away from NFTs very, very quickly when they noticed the XRPL. But yeah, it was a lot of fun. Consensus was a good time, really just opening people's eyes about, hey, you know, just there are NFTs here, and people were actually very, very interested. Like in terms of just people going to our website, we saw like a couple thousand people in one day just hitting it just from the event, not like unique wallets coming on the website. So it was really cool to see.
Are you down with OTC? Please like, subscribe, and click the bell to be notified when the next video drops.